Well, hello everybody and welcome on in to this Friday's MBE Movie News. I am, of course, John from MBE, who'd have funked it, back again on my lonesome, once again, to discuss all of the latest movie news from the world of Hollywood and further afield, of course. You probably know that if you've been here before, but if you haven't, you have to give a slight spiel at the start just to let everyone know what the concept is. But look, you're here for one reason and one reason only if you've clicked on the thumbnail, and that is because Wonder Woman 1984 has officially been confirmed to have been pushed back to December 25th, 2020, of course, Christmas Day. Now, I was speaking about this very subject last night. I can't recall which order I was speaking, perhaps the third topic in last night's show. And we had some rumours flying around last night about Wonder Woman 1984 being delayed to later in the year. There was talk that it could perhaps be impacting on Denis Villeneuve's Dune release, which is of course set to come out on the 18th of December 2020. There was also rumours about Black Panther being delayed once again. Now we have it confirmed that Wonder Woman 1984 has indeed been delayed to later in the year, to Christmas Day, and now I just await the news that Black Panther has also been delayed to some indeterminate date later this year, or perhaps next year, or perhaps straight onto a streaming service. But look, we have Toby Emmerich, the chairman of the Warner Brothers Motion Picture Group, coming out and releasing a short little snappy statement confirming the aforementioned pushing of Wonder Woman 1984. He says, "Patty is an exceptional filmmaker, and with Wonder Woman 1984, she's delivered an incredibly dynamic movie, or film even, that moviegoers of all ages around the world will absolutely love. We are very proud of the film and still look forward," I'm adding words in here, to bringing it to an audience for the holidays. First and foremost, just let me see how much Gal and I love all your devoted Wonder Woman fans around the world, and your excitement for WW84 couldn't make us happier or more eager for you to see the movie, because I know how important it is to bring this movie to you on the big screen when all of us can share the experience together. I'm hopeful you don't mind waiting just a little bit longer. With a new date on Christmas Day, we can spend the holidays with you. Now look, I spoke about this last night, as I did say, and my main concern about this was it impacting and interfering with Dune coming out. It now looks like that is not going to be the case. It looks like Warner Brothers have looked back over the course of the last few years, bring that graphic up, at the picture that is developed throughout the December release slot, seen that there's been a number of big tentpole releases, blockbuster releases, whatever adjective you want to use, and seen that there has been room for two big releases within the December month of releases, essentially. They've obviously analysed it and they've said, well look, we'll give audiences just a little bit more time to become acclimatised to the new norm. We will give audiences just a little bit more time to perk up and grow some confidence in going back to the theatres. I've seen Jeff Snyder speaking about this on Collider. I was going to touch upon it, and he says that the rumours have been coming out from sources close to Warner Brothers that the underperforming box office returns of Tenet have not had any impact on this decision to delay the movie. I completely disagree, although clearly I don't know as much as perhaps Jeff Snyder does in the world of Hollywood. I'm seeing warnings coming up here about video struggling to maintain smooth streaming. I hope it is smooth for people watching it, but I can't do anything about it now. But I cannot for the life of me see how the performance of Tenet over in the States, $20 million, presumably, some are saying $10 million in its opening weekend, and even less than that in its second weekend. I can't see them looking at that underperformance and not sort of fitting that in to the logic behind this move. Of course, if Dune does indeed come out in December 2020 and it's not getting pushed back to fit Wonder Woman 1984, then it's going to be a momentous end to the year for film fans. We're going to get to see Denis Villeneuve taking us to Arrakis, that sci-fi brilliance of that movie, and then concurrently a week later we're going to have Wonder Woman 1984, and don't forget Steven Spielberg's remaking of A West Side Story, which is going to be in there too. So it's going to be a very, very busy December. And look, time will tell whether Warner Brothers are indeed vindicated on their decision to push this back to December. It certainly does feel for me from the trailers there is a familial vibe off of it. It does feel like a celebratory sort of movie that it will fit in well in the December obviously release slot, if you like, the mid-December release slot, as a sort of family holidays movie, holiday special movie. But we daren't say that, being Star Wars fans on here. Holiday special has an ominous ring to it. And look, it does open the door up for Tenet as well, a movie which I am a big fan of, for it to have some more breathing space over the September period, with obviously Wonder Woman originally supposed to be coming out at the end of September. It was breathing down its neck a little, and this now allows it to flex its muscles a little bit for a sustained period, and hopefully we will see Christopher Nolan earning a profit on that one. There's not much competition around about it. Apparently Peter Rabbit's coming out in December 11th. I read it comes out next year on another article a couple of days ago. Coming to America is scheduled to come out on the 18th of December, but I don't believe that's going to be a big theatrical release. That just reeks, it just reeks is the word I'm looking for, of a streaming service movie, one that will go straight to Netflix or whatnot. But look, time will tell, man. I spoke about it last night. I'm glad that I get some sort of semblance of something right for a change, speaking about a topic, and then it happens the day later and I'm almost vindicated for speaking about it. But look, I'm not up nor down about it. It's going to come when it comes. I'm looking forward to seeing the movie. I'll absolutely go out and support Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot and Chris Pine, everyone involved in this movie. And if it's in Christmas time, then even better. It means I get to have my sort of festive coffees, which I do love. At that time of the year, I used to get them when I seen Star Wars. Now it'll be Wonder Woman and perhaps Dune for like the third or fourth time. But look, guys, I'm going to move on to the next topic. As you can see, flashed up very quickly there. Too quickly, some would say. It's all about Fast and Furious 9 and it perhaps going to space in the next installment in this franchise. I think it's Michelle Rodriguez, who's been out speaking about this movie, and yeah, she's apparently let it slip that it's going to space, this movie. I'll bring up the quote there. It's a fairly lengthy quote. She was on Sirius XM programme, the Jess Cale Show, and yeah, she was asked about the rumour and she fessed up, and she says, and I'll read it out just now, "Oh, no way. How did you guys find that out?" Well, it's been everywhere. Michelle, where have you been? What rock have you been hiding under? See what happens. People start talking behind the scenes, man, when a movie doesn't come out and forget about it. Things get out. Nobody was supposed to know that. Oh, well, no, I'm not lucky enough to hit space. It's very strange reading it when they have sort of stuttering Stanley moments. But we did get a female writer and showed a lot of love. I think on this one, thanks to Justin Lin, we were able to find a little bit more attention and love for the girls in the movie. And I'm so really hopeful that the shows through in the final product. That's a really horrendously written bit of writing there, man. Or just the way she says it is terribly structured. Couldn't get my tongue around that at all there, and I'm blaming Michelle for it, not me. But what do I make of this? Look, man, I've openly admitted that I watched a sizable proportion of the early Fast and Furious movies, and I seem to prefer it when it was a simplistic sort of driving movie with fixation on the cars and sort of gas heads, and you had a little criminal under sort of currents of things going on in the stories. I didn't like it so much when Dwayne Johnson came on board, and I'm a big fan of Dwayne, and it went all crazy and started introducing stupid elements, borderline sci-fi elements, as you've seen with Hobbs and Shaw, a spin-off of that very franchise. It got a little bit silly for me, and there was a lot of talk that, look, what's next? They're going to go to space, and now it's happening. So what do I make about it? It may be the thing that makes or breaks this franchise. This could actually propel it onto even greater stardom. Much like Call of Duty back in the day, it was fixated on real-life conflict and rooted in realism. Then it went off and took a turn to sci-fi and just doing crazy shit with timelines and guns and technology and stuff like that. People seem to love it, and it's now bigger than ever. It's been flip-flopping back between realism and futuristic settings. This could well be the thing that makes or break it. Look, it really does depend on what they're doing with the whole space element within the movie. if it's a sort of Star Wars light meets Fast and Furious meets a mismatched buddy comedy type thing, then it's going to be god awful, man. But if it's just something that's organically woven into the story, then perhaps it will work. Lord knows. They do suggest in this article that it will be Dom that perhaps goes out to space. I believe that's the Vin Diesel character. So I'm sure Dwayne Johnson and Vin Diesel will be arguing furiously over who gets to go out to space in this movie. Of course, they won't be going out to space in real life. It'll just be behind the scenes. They're not Tom Cruise. They're not teaming up with Elon Musk and Lord knows who else to send Mr. Cruise out to space. They'll fight over it. Hello there, sarcastic boy. I hope I'm reading that correctly. I cannot for the life of me read these comments. My eyesight is failing badly. I feel like I'm 90. But I can assure you I'm only 31. But my eyes are most definitely like a 90-year-old's. Hello. But look. I fell away from the franchise. If this proves to be the thing that sort of rejuvenates it, gives it a new lick of paint, then perhaps it will draw me back in. I really enjoyed Hobbs and Shaw, so I've slightly contradicted myself when I says I didn't like the fantastical elements. Look at Hobbs and Shaw, and then now go and say that I watched it and I really enjoyed it, but it was primarily because of Jason Statham and Vin Diesel, Dwayne Johnson, and the chemistry they had, and that mismatched buddy element within that movie. And look, who doesn't like Idris Elba either? So look, time will tell. I may enjoy it, I may not enjoy it, I may watch it, I may not watch it. It depends on the feel I get from the trailers and the sort of reaction from the critics and fans in general when it hits the theatres. Lord knows when that will be. But look guys, moving on swiftly. I'm speaking about Dune once again. This is the third consecutive night I've spoke about the Denis Villeneuve movie. And not only have I got one article, but I have two articles which I'm going to touch upon within this sort of truncated topic. I don't know what I was doing with my hands there. Very strange. But you can see there, Dune will be getting at least one sequel, assures director Denis Villeneuve. He's been speaking to somebody. I don't entirely know who it is, but he has been speaking. And I'll try and get the quote. Bring it up on the actual screen for you here. Here we go. I'll bring it up just now. So professional. I've got the articles waiting just to click them up. There you go. He says the story is so rich and complex that in order to be faithful to the book, we'll need to make at least 2 movies. That was a deal right at the start. So it's a short and sweet little quote from Denis. Doesn't have to really babble on too long. It's succinct. He says it was a deal right at the start. And for me, this was something that I foreseen happening anyway. It was something we spoke about when we last touched upon it, me and Stephen. The need for multiple movies within this universe. You can't make one movie and try and force everything into it and have it be a success. They do say rightly the David Lynch Dune TV show from back in 1984 attempted to pack as much of the source material into one sitting. No, it was actually a movie, I believe, as was humanly possible, and it failed badly for that. You can't force too much in. Peter Jackson and the likes of people like that who have adapted stories similar to this with big grandiose settings and amazing thematical things going on within it have been absolutely destroyed about their decision. Something going on with this mic here, it's putting me off, to expand out the story into multiple movies. In The Hobbit's case, it was a trilogy of movies. I could understand some of the criticism for that because he did add in elements which weren't in the source material. But it's such a richly diverse book, like Dune, that necessitated multiple movies. The Lord of the Rings could have been 20 movies, such as the myriad of stories, elements going on within that, and just the complexity of the world. And it's the same with Dune. It's such a complex, rich world. I briefly read it before falling away. I am going to perhaps give it one more bash, if not within reading the actual book. Then if it isn't that, then I'll go and do the audiobook. But you can get the sense just from reading the first 100 pages of this novel that there's so much going on. There's so much history with the dukes and various factions. There's treachery in there. There's fantastical elements within the mythology. Some of the characters are sort of mysterious. You've got the 3 people on Arrakis. I can't recall their name. So there's so much going on. There's war and tribes. There's deception, treachery, great mythology, and it requires multiple movies to tell that story and to tell it correctly. And that's why I'm so excited that Denis looks as though he himself is going to be helming at least one more sequel, because this is a man who doesn't, generally speaking, do sequels. This is a man who walked away from Sicario to obviously go away and I think do Arrival or Blade Runner, I think it may have been 2049. So if he sees so much promise within this. And look, he's spoken about coming back to Blade Runner 2, but it's not something that's going to be happening any time in the future. But generally speaking, he doesn't do sequels, and if he sees some promise within the story for multiple movies, which he himself is compelled to direct, then that is very exciting for me. It's very exciting too that he's so confident that the studio are absolutely going to greenlight a sequel. That tells me that the first movie is absolute gold, that he knows he has a winner on his hands, and the studio know that he has a winner on his hands from this cast, from the story, from the visual effects, everything in between. And yeah, man, it's going to be absolutely epic when I finally go and see this movie in December, if indeed it still comes out in December. Is it going to end on a cliffhanger? Will it have a sort of natural conclusion, a standalone movie which can sort of blend over into another story? I like my movies like Blade Runner, the original, where it's standalone, but it opens up the world for more movies, which of course we got in the end. Time will tell with that. But look, guys, I'm going to quickly move on to another little topic regarding Dune. It's all about Zendaya. And she's come out and she spoke about her role in this movie, and it kind of took me by surprise, I have to say, because, as I said, I briefly read the book, a sizable proportion of the book, and Paul Atreides in it, the main man played by Timothée Chalamet, spoke about premonitions of meeting a girl with blue eyes in a cave, I believe it was, and how she changed them irrevocably. And you get it in the trailer, this relationship between them, and now we have Zendaya coming out, and look, I'll bring the quotes up. She says, "My part is very small in this movie, and that's why I'm so excited to see it, to see what everyone's been up to." Director Denis Villeneuve and I had a little discussion about who Chani is, or Chani, however you say that, and the strength she possesses. She's a fighter, that's what her people are. I think that's the Free People. Again, I can't recall the exact actual name of them, on Arrakis. I only really had a few days with her, so I kind of scratched the surface. But it was so much fun figuring her out. What does she walk like? What does she talk like? This is her planet, so how does she navigate this world? It was so fun. I think I've actually jumped ahead, perhaps, on the quote. There is another one down there. Denis understands what he wants from us, but he's also very collaborative, allowing me to have my take on the character as well. I don't want to jinx anything, but I can't wait to explore her more. So there you go. She's saying, in a sense, she has a very small role. She only worked on the role for 4 days, 4 shoots. Now that doesn't necessarily mean the actual role in the movie is going to be minuscule, because these shoots are incredibly long. They're probably 12, 15-hour shifts that these actors are having to do. So she may have been able to fit quite a sizable bit of acting into the 4-day shoot. But she says the role in the grand scheme of things is very small. In a sense, she's saying that she's going to survive there. I mean, she's gave a spoiler away. She doesn't want to jinx anything, but she hopes she pops up in a sequel. So I'm excited for what Zendaya is going to bring. I'm excited for the chemistry between her and Chalamet. She spoke about what it was like working with him, how she enjoyed it tremendously. I'm excited to see this character because she's a really interesting young actress. She always brings her A game to movies. She shot a goddamn movie within the pandemic. A sort of short little double character movie, and I can't wait to see that as well. So I'm excited for it, but in a way I'm also slightly let down by the fact that her role isn't going to be slightly bigger in this movie. Now I understand there's so many different characters in this. We have Momoa, I'm sure we have Idris Elba in there, we have Oscar Isaac. There's a whole array of different actors in this, ridiculous amount of characters, and as I just touched upon in the previous article, so much story to be told, and you can't fit everything in. It's virtually impossible. So whilst I am slightly disappointed, I also understand. But look, man, I just love the whole vibe of this article in general. Just the fact she's speaking so highly of Denis and his role with the actors, how he treats them with respect. He lets them add little things in. There's a degree of freedom in there. It's very collaborative, and that's something that's just ringing throughout this whole beginning of the press junkets and just promotional stuff from the actors. I spoke about Momoa a couple of days ago. He was crying inside because he was running so much, because he had so much dedication and appreciation for Denis and what he was bringing to this movie. He upped his game to the point where he was actually crying inside. He was sweating that much. So super excited, much like Matt Reeves' Batman, about the general vibe that's coming out from the actors and whatnot. They're just speaking very highly about this movie, very highly about Denis. And I'm looking forward to seeing Chani, whatever you call her, and seeing what sort of impact she has, whether it's a short little role, or a slightly sizable smaller role. Time will tell, man. Slight oxymoron there, slightly smaller sizable role. What? Doesn't even make sense. But look, guys, moving on before I dig myself a hole. Next topic's all about Thor Love and Thunder, another movie that I just love speaking about and speaking about and speaking about until I'm blue in the face. And I'm just going to say speaking about one more time there, because I says it twice and I felt like three's a nice wholesome round number. But look, man, it's all about the technology that's been getting utilised with Finn. Is it Channy? Is that how you say it, Howard? There you go, you've saved my arse there once again. Channy. It's almost like me trying to say Indian names when I'm reacting to these Indian trailers. Very complicated language, very complicated pronunciation of names. And I do my best not to absolutely destroy it, but I'm Scottish, I'm Glaswegian. Speaking English in a coherent manner is already hard. When you start flinging in complicated pronunciations, it becomes quite a bit harder. But look, guys, there you go. Short little quote all about the great technology which was used on The Mandalorian and, of course, created and was the sort of brainchild creation of Jon Favreau, a man who is probably only equalled in his brilliance for innovation within the movie setting with Jim Cameron. He's the only other guy who really compares to him in the way that they push the boundaries when they're creating movies. And they used that same Mandalorian technology on Thor, or they're going to be using it, sorry, it's not yet filming, on Thor Love and Thunder. Here we go. When combined with industrial light and magic's expert visual effects talent, motion capture experience, facial capture via Medusa, Angma and Foxx, ain't got a clue what any of those things are, not going to lie, and the innovative production technology developed by ILM's newly integrated Technoprops team, we believe we have a unique offering for the industry. Now, this doesn't even remotely sound like it's featuring in this article about Thor Love and Thunder. It feels like it's almost a promotion of the technology itself that they've flung in just to let us know that it's a unique offering for the industry. What role this has in playing into the actual Thor Love and Thunder topic, I don't know, but look, it's an exciting technology, that's what I will say, man. I've really enjoyed watching the behind the scenes stuff of The Mandalorian, watching how Favreau managed to capture the sort of unique experience of being on these alien landscapes but not being on them, not being out on location. It's a huge big sort of circular screen, incredible fidelity. They're even putting it above the actors now as well. And the way it works is that it really does envelop the actors in the world. It sort of immerses them, makes them feel like they're actually there. And look, I've spoke about Christopher Nolan before and this man's disdain for green screen and the soulless experience that it gives to the actors, and how he loves to push them physically on the set, dealing with their surroundings as much as possible. He likes to use complicated sort of wired systems with the likes of McConaughey in Interstellar, and how he thinks that makes the performance of the actor so much better because they're interacting with things. And it's the same here. It's not as practical as what Nolan does on his sets, but at the same time it's not as soulless as what Lucas was doing in the prequel trilogy with just enormous blue screens and rooms and the actors acting to nothing. This sort of captures the best of both worlds. It's innovative, it's technologically advanced, and it allows them to shoot in the actual studio, not on location, which is absolutely ideal when this movie is getting set to start filming in the coming months and we're still in the midst of a coronavirus pandemic. This feels like the perfect time to utilise this technology, and look, it may be utilised more and more moving forward. Just being able to shoot as much as possible in a studio somewhere with the actors, it keeps the health and safety thing, the whole coronavirus protocols in place, and you're not having situations like Tom Hanks had over in Australia in that Elvis Presley biopic, the Baz Luhrmann one, where he picks up coronavirus, the whole set gets put into chaos, the production gets halted. Seen it with the Batman 2. This is the future, man, and I thoroughly enjoyed what Favreau has been bringing to these sets with this technology, man. If you've not seen the behind the scenes stuff, you really have to go and watch it. It's amazing the way that they touch it up with CG and stuff afterwards. It just looks seamless. It looks like they're there. And I'm really excited to see what Taika is going to bring to this with this technology, how he's going to utilise the new colourful landscapes, because if he done anything in Thor Ragnarok, it was give us some truly wacky and colourful landscapes, just mixed with his tone and his comedy. It was a match made in heaven. Supremely excited for this movie, guys, but look, going to move on, man. I feel like I've been speaking 100 miles an hour and I've not had a drink, so do bear with me while I have a short little drink here, and then I'll move on to the penultimate topic on tonight's show. Incidentally, welcome to Chloe, Mia and Nana. Hi indeed, it's Chloe, Mia, good show. Thank you very much, Chloe, Mia. Appreciate the comment. I need it. I need all the help I can get on these shows, because when you're on your lonesome, man, it is hard work. But look, we've had Henry Golding coming out, as you can see in that little graphic down there, speaking about James Bond and the opportunity that obviously Daniel Craig hanging up the, I don't know, the 007 tag, name, whatever, alias. What that opportunity is going to bring, and he's saying it's an opportunity for change. The possibilities are endless, he is saying in summary. But look, I'm going to bring up the man's quotes, because he has quite a bit to say about the next casting of Bond and where it could go potentially for the franchise. It says it's the opportunity for change, and this is to The Guardian, a semi-decent newspaper, not as much a rag as the Daily Mail and other right-wing shit rags over here. He says, be it female, male, bi, gay, straight, trans, Asian, black, Latina. Now is the time in our history where it doesn't matter. This is the most amazing feeling, so the possibilities are endless. Not endless, Henry, because Barbara Broccoli, always struggle with that name, has already come out and says that there will not be a female James Bond in this franchise anyway. They may do a spin-off with a female 00 character. It's not going to be 007 though. So the possibilities aren't quite endless, but keep it to male, and yes, the possibilities are certainly endless within the male sex, in a sense. He's continued on though, and he says, I'm not being drawn into this trap, when he was asked if he'd been approached for the role, and he continued on to say it was an honour to be in the conversation for the role. He says that it does seem to be a question that always comes up. It was definitely from Crazy Rich, maybe the scene with the white suit coming out the park, and because I'm Asian, everybody's fighting for a diverse Bond. Sorry white guys, it's not your fault, Henry, don't worry about it. I don't know, it's an honour to even be in the conversation. It's one of the greatest roles ever. You'd be stupid to be like, I don't want to do that shit. That's the type of attitude I like to hear as well. I want to see Bond swearing more, incidentally, but that's another day and another conversation. He finished up by saying it would be the wildest ride. I'm super excited to see Daniel Craig's last venture, but it isn't great. Isn't it great that we are having that conversation? Isn't it great that people are like, okay, now's the time, why the hell can't we have a black Bond, an Asian Bond, a mixed race Bond, and a non-distinct Bond? Look, we spoke about this the other day. I think we were speaking about Henry Cavill, the whitest of whitest men, perhaps popping up and playing James Bond in the next journey for the character. And I suggested that, look, perhaps the likes of Luke Evans could step in. Big, tall guy who can wear a suit well, he's well built. And look, we could give you the opportunity, with Luke being a homosexual in real life, it could be the opportunity that we have a gay James Bond moving forward in the franchise. I certainly wouldn't be averse to it. I don't give a shit which way they go with the character. I don't care about his sexuality. It's all about what he does on the screen as this undercover agent for the British state. That is all that matters. So the background of the character is really, it's non-essential to me. The colour of his skin, equally, is non-essential to me. I have been championing the perhaps casting of Idris Elba, or Idris, depending on which way you say his name, for the next James Bond. There are so many possibilities. We could have a Scottish James Bond, we could have Richard Madden, we could have Idris Elba, we could have Tom Hardy, we could have Luke Evans, we could very well have Henry Golding as well popping up as James Bond. He's a tall guy, he wears a suit well, as he says, he's articulate, and he can do action sequences, so he's absolutely right in what he says. I can't disagree with it. Now, I'm going to hear the wailing screams of these little alt-right bitches out there in the interweb. The likes that like to just scream about being woke, woke, woke. I had it the other night with my Oscars diversity sort of thing, the rule change for Best Picture. Someone saying that it was a joke, we're just throwing them lip service. Well, you need change in society, and it's small little incremental changes that make the biggest difference. And representation in the Bond role would be something I wouldn't be averse to. But look, I've admitted before, I am not the biggest James Bond fan by any means. So I'm sitting here in my ivory tower on my high horse saying, look, I don't care where they go for James Bond. I'm not a fan of the character, not a huge fan anyway, so it's not going to impact my appreciation of it, and it wouldn't impact my appreciation of it anyway, because I'm a liberal person and I don't care about these things. But look guys, completely agree with Henry Golding. Going to be exciting to see where they go with this character moving forward. Are they going to make the sort of curveball choice for the character? How's it going to sit with the fan base? Will they walk away in their droves, like we've seen with Doctor Who when they had the audacity to cast a female in the role of the Doctor? Time will tell, man. I don't really care either way, and I'm looking forward to seeing the absolute shitstorm that comes if indeed they do cast a person of colour, an Asian person, perhaps a gay James Bond or a trans James Bond. It'll be absolutely amazing just for the shit show that will develop on social media. But look, moving on to the final topic on tonight's show, I just have to speak about one of my favourite young actors of today, and it's John Boyega. We done a similar topic like this about Daisy Ridley last week, and she was sort of moaning about her lack of luck and lack of auditions, lack of offering of roles after The Rise of Skywalker. She says that her phone was very quiet, but she's now starting to pick up a little bit. Well, here is one guy who is the complete yin to the yang of that situation. He is the complete opposite, so far away from being quiet and not being offered roles that it's not even... he's in a different universe, essentially. And it's John Boyega, of course, as I did say, and he is a very, very busy boy, as I say down there in that graphic. He's working on a slew of post-Star Wars projects. This one's coming in from Cinema Blend. Incidentally, I will try and bring the article up just to aid me a little bit as I go through the array of roles that he's going to be doing post-Star Wars. Now, we see here, they cloned Tyrone. If you can actually see that, incidentally, I may be in the completely wrong bit of the article. It's the first sort of, well, it's not the first, I take that back, it's one of the array of projects that he's working in, and he's starring alongside, I do believe, one Jamie Foxx. It's set to hit Netflix, and this sounds like a fantastic role, man, it really does. Follows a series of eerie events leading into the unlikely trio onto the trail of a nefarious government conspiracy. That sounds like something that John could really get his teeth into. He's a fantastically diverse actor, he can do everything. He's not one genre I feel is outside this man's capabilities, and that's a really good and interesting one. It sounds almost like The Fugitive meets something else with eerie ongoings in between. Exciting, man. He does go back into the cinematic realm, they say there. I don't know what that even means. Perhaps they mean going to the theatre to watch the movie. With Naked Singularity. Again, this sounds so intriguing. The actual cast outside of John Boyega sounds incredibly intriguing as well. We have the likes of Bill Skarsgård, Olivia Cook, and Ed Skrein, the man everyone likes to hate. He was the villain in Deadpool, and he was in that goddamn American World War II planes one, which completely eludes me at the moment. But he's an okay actor, isn't he, man? And this sounds like it sounds like a perfect fit for John Boyega. He is a criminal he's a New York public defender who starts to question the criminal justice system after losing a case, and his life starts to unravel, and he's drawn into a high stakes heist. That sounds absolutely perfect, man. Look, I'm not going to read through all the roles because they are lengthy, and the man is a very busy man. I'm just going to round up the show by saying this. I can't be more happier for this guy, because this is a guy who was out in his sort of soapbox during the Black Lives Matter protest down in London, speaking about how he was concerned his career would be finished for stepping up and actually speaking out on black rights and stuff like that, and how their lives matter, and they do. And I'm glad to see that it's simply not the case, that directors even then were stepping out and backing him and saying, you will work with me anytime, I will have you on my set. And now you see the array of new movies that the guy's going to be doing in the coming year or so, 2 years, maybe 3 years. And it's super exciting. I really enjoyed him in Detroit. I enjoyed him in Star Wars despite his underwritten role. I enjoyed him in Attack the Block. He's a brilliant, charismatic, hilarious guy, man, and I wish him all the success in the earth, man, that I could possibly give him. But look, I'm going to round up the show on that note, because I'm done, and I feel like I'm that close to dipping off the cliff. And when you're on your lonesome, as I did say, that's a dangerous, dangerous thing indeed. But look, I'll pass it over to you guys. If you have somehow made it to the end of this show, then well done. You're better than me. What do you make about Wonder Woman 1984 being pushed back to Christmas Day 2020? Is that something that intrigues you? Do you think it's the correct decision? Will you be going to watch this during the holiday season, despite potential coronavirus pandemic still very much being a thing. What do you make about Fast and Furious 9 heading up to space? Is that something you think will break the franchise? Does it surprise you? Certainly doesn't surprise me. What do you make about Dune getting multiple sequels and Zendaya's role being very small in it? And finally, what do you make about Thor Love and Thunder utilising that great Mandalorian LED all-encompassing screen technology, and John Boyega being a busy boy post Star Wars? If you've got anything to say about any of the topics at all, you can comment below and let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comment section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see me get a bit in the way and potentially falling off the cliffs more in the future. And if you do, that's precisely what you'll see, guys. Hopefully me not falling off cliffs, but speaking about movies. But until then, bye bye.